Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new around here, then my name is Katie. I'm a full-time sketchbook artist, and today I'm going to be sharing an art haul. It was my birthday recently and I've also been shopping, so I'm going to do this as like a July art haul and merge them all together. It's a bit of a random selection, but I'm really excited to get using these art supplies and I hope you enjoy it too. Let me show you what I have. Okay, so let's start with the bits I was lucky enough to receive for my birthday. So I got a Liquitex acrylic ink. This is the 30ml in titanium white. I really enjoy using acrylic ink, but I haven't tried Liquitex before, so I usually use the Daler Rowney. Those are in much squatter bottles, they're 29.5ml, so it's very similar. I have used this since I got it, and it seems just like any other acrylic ink. I'm really not sure what the difference is with brands, but like I said, Liquitex isn't one I've used before, but I've heard good things about, and I really liked it. It was nice and opaque, and I will be mixing this in with my Daler Rowney ones, so I'm pretty sure there won't be any issues there, but I'll let you know if there is. I find that I mix a lot of my acrylic inks with white, so this is just a really handy colour to have, and the white I have in the Daler Rowney ran out. So definitely one that I use a lot of, and same with like acrylics and gouache, I mix it in with most of my colours, so I find that white is a really good colour to have in my stash. Next up are the Stabilo Boss highlighters. These are in the natural colour palette, so nature colours, and I really enjoyed using these. I have used them in a recent video. I'll link it up in the cards and down below in the description, but I created a whole spread in my sketchbook using just these colours. So it's really nice to use a limited colour palette, and I found it really easy to lay down the colour. Obviously there's a bit less flexibility in the nib, but I really enjoyed it. I really like the colours, so definitely recommend these. They are available on Amazon, this is where these are from, and like I said, I'll link everything that I mentioned in terms of videos and also leave affiliate links for all of the products down below in the description box. I also got these Derwent XL graphite blocks. Now, I have used the Inktense blocks. I've got a whole video about Derwent Inktense on my channel and I use them a lot for adding texture into my work, but this is graphite and this is going to be really interesting to use. I do plan on doing a whole video on this if you're interested in seeing how these work or me testing them out for the first time. I haven't taken off the cellophane on here, but you can see the different colours. So we've got olive green, bark Prussian, dark, maybe it says dark, bark, olive green, dark Prussian, raw umber, burnt umber, soft and very soft. So these ones are just the standard graphite colours, so greys and blacks. I think it will be really interesting to play around with some monotone colours, but I'm really keen to use this olive green and also mix them up. So that will be really interesting to use. Let's see what it says. So it's high quality graphite with the strength and body of a chunky block. So soft meets strong, agile meets bold. A perfect blend of rich tones, organic marks, 6 colours, naturally water soluble. So I'm really looking forward to wetting my brush and getting these wet like they are sort of watercolour pans and using them that way, and then also taking the blocks like I do with the Inktense blocks and using them to create lots of different marks on the page to create lots of texture. So this is a very different medium for me in terms of very rarely using graphite, but I think it'll be a really interesting one. And if you've seen my channel before in my videos, you know I really like to push myself out of my comfort zone and push my boundaries with my materials, and I think this will be a perfect one for that. So hopefully I'll film a video on this if you're interested soon. Next up is a sketchbook. So this is a Fabriano sketchbook. It's called the Venezia book. It's got drawing paper in, 200 GSM, so it's super thick, and it's also white paper. So if I compare it to a Royal Talens, I'll show you the difference in size. So it's similar in ratio, but it's a bit taller and a bit wider. So this one's 15 by 23 and the Royal Talens is 13 by 21 centimeters. So just a little bit bigger. And like I said, it's really nice white paper. It's very, very thick, so I'm really eager to see how it handles wet medium. It's got a slight tooth to it, but it is pretty smooth and very, very white. When I go to the middle, it definitely doesn't like lay flat. It definitely comes up at the side, but it does feel quite smooth over the middle. I'm really looking forward to using this. There's a lot of paper in here, so it's 48 sheets, so plenty of space to fill, and I think this will be really handy for taking out and about with me, although it is quite heavy, but I think it will be really good for gouache and using lots of mediums. So if you're interested in a review on this one, then I'll definitely film that for you. Obviously I do have quite a lot of sketchbooks on the go at the moment, but I really enjoy using different sketchbooks. So I do generally use my Royal Talent for my daily sketches, but I've also got a Clairefontaine and a Strathmore, which I use for wetter mediums, so a lot of watercolour in those sketchbooks. And then I've also got a few others in my collection, so I'm not super brand loyal when it comes to sketchbooks. I really enjoy trying out different ones. So I'm looking forward to giving this a go, and I'll give you my thoughts when I do break this one in. And then last up is some Derwent drawing pencils. I'm really excited to get these. Obviously, I've said before that I don't need any more pencils, but I absolutely love Derwent drawing pencils. And I do use pencils all of the time, so it is a really staple medium for me and one that I use every day. So you'll know I generally use Luminance, but I really enjoy Derwent drawing too. So this is the pot of pencils I grab daily, and I do have a few Derwent drawings in here. So I have bought them individually before to know that I really enjoy them, before then asking for the set for my birthday. Generally that's how I'll find new materials, so I'll buy them open stock individually and then see if I like them. And for these, this colour palette is just my dream colour palette, so I'm really excited to try the whole set. So again, I haven't taken these out of the cellophane, but you can see the colours here, and it's such a lovely colour palette. They feel really muted and warm, and for me, this is definitely my kind of colours because I love to do nature scenes, I love to do landscapes, and I'm really excited to use all of these. So obviously a couple of them will be duplicates from the ones I have, but like I said, I use them all of the time, so I think this will be really helpful to have. There's a few new colours for me, including some of these yellows. I really love this yellow here, and then a few more browns and purples, and yeah, this one looks really nice. That's an ink blue that I haven't got, so I'm really excited to try these. I do have a video on my channel where I compare Luminance with Faber-Castell Polychromos and Prismacolor, so there is a video on my channel about pencil brands, but if you're interested in knowing the difference with these, then I would say these are softer. I haven't done a comparison, but I really recommend these if you like soft coloured pencils similar to the Luminance. They're not quite as soft, but they're definitely in the same league. So I'm really keen to try these out, and I will swatch them all, maybe in a video. But yeah, I'm really keen to open these up and give them a go because I think some colour palettes here are really going to work with some of my subjects. Okay, on to some other bits which I bought myself. So I did buy this, which is a professional ink roller. I got this in the 6-inch wide, so it's wider than the one I do have. I've got quite a cheap version that I bought with a lino kit, but I'm going to be planning on using this with my gel plate. So I've really enjoyed using a gel plate in the last few months, and I've got a couple of videos on my Patreon where I use it. And I do plan on doing one on YouTube eventually, but I still feel like a complete beginner and novice, so I don't quite feel comfortable sharing that yet. But I think this will be really handy because I've got 2 gel plates now, so I can roll them both and print them because you have to wait once they're printed for them to dry. And like I said, the other one I've got is a lot cheaper, so I'm keen to see if this is any better. It does look really solid and sturdy, and it's definitely going to get a lot of use. It will be really handy for my bigger gel plate as well, so very excited about that one. And then to go along with that is some acrylic paint. So this is again basically to use with my gel plate. So I use acrylic paint for that. So far I've mostly just used it for backgrounds, but I do want to play around with drawing art on the plate and then printing the full piece rather than printing a background and then working on top in my sketchbook. So I picked up a few acrylics. These were from Hobbycraft and they were half price, so they were £2 each, which I think is really good for acrylic paint. And this is by Pebeo, so I've used their gouache before and I really liked it. So this is the first time I'm trying their acrylic paint, I believe, but I just bought a few colours. So this one is a bit of a random one, which I'll explain, but these are definitely my go-to sort of colours. I really enjoy using neutrals, and like I said, I do like landscapes. So I got the chrome green hue, which looks very similar, but maybe a bit lighter than oxide of chromium. I've got buff titanium. I think I do have this in another brand, but I've been using it a lot for sort of neutral and warm bases, so I'm running out of the other one. And then I also got the raw sienna. Again, just a really nice colour to be able to mix into with my greens and make them a little bit less luminous, I suppose. I find that adding a touch of brown or red into my greens makes them feel more natural. So these are definitely colours that I'll use on their own if I'm doing an acrylic painting, but also I want to use them with my gel plate. And then this one, which isn't showing up on camera as vibrant as it is because this is a fluorescent. This is fluorescent orange, They all say that they're high viscosity, so I think it's going to be really interesting to see the difference. Mostly I use De La Rowney System 3 acrylics, and I've also got some Amsterdam acrylic paint. So it'll be keen to see how the viscosity changes between those paints, because they're all pretty student grade, I'd say. But this one is very bright for me, and I want to try using them to create some patterned papers. So again, I'll be using my gel plate for that, but probably with my junk journals. I don't share that on my channel anymore. I used to do some junk journal process videos, but I think it would be good to just play around with my gel plate. And I do see a lot of artists do some really lovely things with bright colours, so like fluorescent orange and also the really vibrant opera pink. I've seen artists use them in a really lovely way, so I feel like that could be an interesting avenue for me to explore. I just feel like having it, I'll be a little bit more interested in giving it a go and maybe go out of my comfort zone if I've got it and have a play. I feel like this is a really playful colour, so I'm keen to see how I can add it into some of my work. I also bought some more paper, so I bought these. As you know, I generally do work in my sketchbooks, but every month I create some originals for my top tier patrons, and I use A5 paper for that. So I've got two here. I've got the Arches Aquarelle watercolour. This is 300 GSM, and then when I don't need something quite so thick, I'm using Fisk paper. I did have this in an A4 size and I was cutting it down, so I thought I'd just get a pad that was A5. This one's 25 sheets, this one's only 12 sheets, and this one, the Arches one, was a lot more money. But I find that it's really great for watercolour, so when I'm doing watercolour paintings, I'll use this. It's not a block, it is just a pad, so I just tear it off at the top there. But this is super smooth, so it takes the watercolour really well as putting my coloured pencils on top. It's why I really like smooth paper, because I find if it's really cold pressed or rough, it definitely changes the way I add my details on top. So there is a slight grain in here, so it's not like super smooth that it would run off, but I found this really does hold my paint well, and I've really enjoyed using it. And then this one is for when I'm doing something maybe thicker gouache or using ink. This handles it absolutely fine. So it does say heavyweight, and it's still 220 GSM, so still handles a lot of mediums. And this one's slightly rougher, still not cold pressed, it's still quite smooth, but it definitely has a texture to it. And again, just really handy to have it at this size to be able to do my original paintings on. And they're not too big to store either. Okay, and then lastly, the final thing I want to show you is a Faber-Castell Click and Go. This is a foldable water pot. Now, I've seen a lot of artists use similar to this, not necessarily this brand, for plein air work. If you've seen my Ultimate Art Supplies video, you'll know I rave about these water brush pens. So you fill them with water, and they're really helpful to have when you are painting on location, and they're definitely a must for me. But I do find that sometimes if I want to really rinse the brush thoroughly, I prefer to have a water pot still. And I used to just take my water pot, so I used to take this one, this light plastic one, but it's still a bit big to put in my bag if I am going plein air painting. So I thought this one would be really handy. It was reduced, so it was a really good price because they had 25% off. So this was supposed to be £3.80 and I got it for £2.85. So I picked this up whilst I was in Hobbycraft, and I'm going to unwrap it now just to see how it works. So I just pop that out. Okay, oh nice. So I think this will be much easier to put in my bag when I am out and about. It's a really good size actually, it's bigger than I expected, and I think that will be really handy. I usually take a water bottle with me anyway, just to drink from, and then I'll pour some of that in here, and then I can just rinse my brushes in them, and I'll just fold it down to go. I've seen that there are ones with a lid, which I guess if it does drip into your bag it might be difficult, but I tend to take paper towel when I am like wiping off my brush anyway, so I can just wipe this out. So I expect I'll show you this in a plein air session soon, because I do want to do some more plein air painting this summer. But yeah, really happy with that one. I think that was a really good price. Okay, so that was everything in my haul. I hope you enjoyed seeing what I got for my birthday and a few of the things that I've picked up recently as well. If you have any of these, especially the graphite, and have any tips from me using that, then I'd love to hear them. But do let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and a big thank you for watching. I'd like to say a huge thank you to my patrons as well, who support me to create these free videos on my channel. I hope you have a creative week ahead, and I will see you next Sunday in my new YouTube video. See you later.